All right, welcome. Today we're tackling place, a really critical and honestly often misunderstood part of the marketing mix. Now, if you're gearing up for your Cambridge Business AS level, you know that nailing this topic is a must. So, we're going to break down exactly what place really is and how businesses make these huge decisions.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with the basics of place, then get into the different distribution channels. After that, we'll weigh up the good and the bad of each option, check out the massive impact of e-commerce, and figure out how a business actually chooses the right path. We'll wrap things up by looking at where things are headed with digital versus physical distribution.
Okay, let's dive right into section one. Before we can start comparing strategies, we've got to build a solid foundation. Let's get perfectly clear on what we mean by place in marketing, because trust me, it's so much more than just logistics and warehouses.
So, this is the textbook definition, and it's a good one. At its very core, distribution is this whole process. The big goal for any company is to build a bridge from them to you, the customer, that's efficient, cheap to run, and maybe most importantly, super convenient. It's all about getting the right product to the right person at the right time. Now, this is a point you really want to lock in, especially for an exam. It's so easy to think place just means trucks and ships, but that's just transportation. It's only one piece of the puzzle. The place decision is the high-level strategy. It's about the how and the where a product is actually sold. That's the key takeaway here. Okay, so we've got the definition down. Now let's see how this works in the real world. How do companies actually get their stuff to us? Well, we can pretty much break it down into three main models, or what we call channels. Let's take a look at each one. First step, we've got the most direct route you can possibly take. It's called direct selling, or a zero intermediary channel. And as you can see from the diagram, it's a straight line. The product goes from the person who made it straight to the person who's going to use it. No middlemen. And this is why it's so powerful. When you have no intermediaries, you, the manufacturer, have total control over everything. The price, the branding, the whole customer experience. This is why you see it so often with things that are maybe expensive or custom built. But think about it. The internet has made this channel absolutely explode. Booking a flight or a hotel online, that's direct selling. So what happens when we add one person into that chain? Well, that gives us this single intermediary channel. And as you can see here, that intermediary is usually a retailer. So the manufacturer sells to a shop, and then the shop sells to you and me. You see this channel everywhere, especially for consumer goods. I mean, just think about a big supermarket. They buy from thousands of producers, handle all the storage and logistics, and make it available in one place. It's an incredibly efficient way for, say, a brand of crisps to get into millions of shopping baskets across the country. The producer produces, the retailer sells, and last but not least, we have the most traditional channel of all, the two intermediary channel. This time, we're slotting a wholesaler into the mix, right between the manufacturer and the retailer. Now, for a long time, this was how almost everything worked. The wholesaler's job is basically to act as a breaking point. They buy massive, truck-sized quantities from the producer, then they break that bulk down and sell smaller, more manageable boxes to all the little independent shops that can't afford to buy a whole truckload at once. Okay, so those are our three models. Now comes the part that is so important for your studies, the evaluation. It's not enough to just list the channels. You have to be able to analyze them, to pick them apart. Each one has its own unique set of pros and cons, and every business has to weigh them carefully. This table right here is gold because it lays out the trade-offs perfectly. Just take a look. With direct selling, the big win is control, and you keep all the profit. No markups for anyone else. But the catch? You have to pay for all the storage, all the marketing, all the delivery. Now, contrast that with the two intermediary channel. The wholesaler takes on massive inventory costs, which is great for the producer. But now there are two extra profit margins being added, pushing the final price up. And you've pretty much handed over all control of your marketing. It always comes down to this strategic balancing act between control, cost, and how many customers you can actually reach. Now, we mentioned earlier that direct selling is back in a big way. And the reason for that, the engine behind it, is e-commerce. You can think of it as the supercharged modern version of that direct channel. Yeah, this is so important to grasp. This isn't just a side hustle anymore. It is a fundamental shift in how business is done. The power to sell directly to anyone with an internet connection, anywhere on the planet, well, that's completely changed the game for everyone, from the smallest startup to the biggest global brands. But just like any other channel,
E-commerce has its own scorecard of pros and cons. The benefits are massive, right? You get global reach, you don't have to pay rent on a physical shop, and you get tons of data on your customers. But the flip side is also very real. People can't touch or try the product, which often leads to more returns. You've got security worries, and you're totally dependent on things like postal services and internet speeds, which aren't perfect everywhere. So, we have our traditional channels, and we have the modern e-commerce channel. That brings us to the million-dollar question. How does a business actually pick one? As you can probably guess, it's not a decision they make lightly. It is a really strategic choice that depends on a bunch of key factors. And the answer is, there is no single right answer. There's no one best channel. The perfect choice is different for every single business. It all depends on the product they sell, the customers they're trying to reach, and their own goals. It's about finding the perfect fit by asking some very smart questions.
And these are those questions. This is like the marketing manager's checklist. You have to think about everything. How much control do we want? What's our brand image? For example, a super high-end luxury brand is never going to sell its products through a discount store, right? Because it would kill their exclusive image. The channel has to fit the brand. It has to support the overall marketing objectives. The whole strategy has to be integrated.
Okay, to wrap things up, let's look at one of the biggest trends shaping the future of place, and that's this massive shift away from distributing physical things to distributing digital ones. This is all about products that can be turned into ones and zeros. Music, movies, books, software, you name it. Instead of pressing a CD, printing a book, and shipping it halfway around the world, the product is delivered instantly as a data file straight to your device. And for the creators of this content, the benefits are just staggering. Think about a musician. They can record a song in their bedroom, upload it, and literally overnight, it's available to billions of people on platforms like Spotify. They completely sidestep all those massive traditional costs of manufacturing and shipping. It's a total game changer. And this isn't just a small trend. Look at these numbers. The whole industry is being reshaped. Analysts predicted that by 2025, over half of all the money made in the global music industry would come just from streaming, and about a third of all book revenue would be digital. That's a tectonic shift. Which leaves us with one final big question to think about. As more and more of the things we buy become digital, our music, our movies, our books, what happens to the physical shops that used to sell them? What is their role in this new world? How do they have to adapt to survive when the products they used to sell don't need a shelf anymore?